at, or a number ches, right? Rabbi Zohar Chai, he says, look over here at the Zohar Chai. What's he say? Shabir Khan, Lefi Darko, I know. That the Iri Khan B'tikun Yisod the Nukva. So we're back in the Tikun of Yisuka. When does that need to be Mesukan? It has to be on Erev Yom Kippur. So it's a little more interesting, this one here. Let's see what he says. But the Zechah B'bir Khan the Achshe B'vayir Tikun Hamayim Nukvin. So what we're really talking about, and what's our phrase here? Our phrase, B'richushuso do da'ara lo shlim. So he says, Hamayim Nukvin should be Yisod the Nukva, which is in the Yisod of the Nukva. What is this we're talking about, which is a concept of Or Choser, Shuhu B'pechin lo shlim, and Or Choser, he says, is the concept of lo shlim. Now, I'm not sure why. That's what he said, because what? Because it's seeking, it's feeling its emptiness. Try to put an answer on it. So now, when you're looking over at the Yisod of the Nukva on Erev Yom Kippur, and you see here that we're using the word creeping, crawling here, the Ara, let's say crawling. So it says crawling, but Rechusha the Ara in the something, well, we have to see what that is, the Ara on the land. So what land? So Tikun Mayim Nukvin, this whole idea, but Rechusha the Ara is a movement, let's say, in the Ara, is for the purpose, what movement? It's for the purpose of Ma'ala Mayim Nukvin, or Choser, which is an Or Choser. Now this is all explained, he says, in the Eitz Chaim, B'drash Mayim Nukvin. I don't recall it too well, but let's see how I said, Min Hamoach Ha'ish Machshava B'vara Mayim Duchrin. So he says that thought, which is which, going on with other Kabbalists of what's going on with thought. What thought does he mean? I don't know. Okay, it's from the upper mind, let's say, so to speak. This is where the Bira takes place in Mayim Duchrin, which are coming back. Mashpia Ke'eriz, B'Levona, B'Yisoda. So it's like as Mashpia down into the Levona. I was just about to look up the word Eriz. I don't know what he meant exactly, so I was going to look it up. But at any rate, it flows down, like for B'Levona, B'Yisoda, like the Eriz of Vona, I guess, of the cedar. Is that what it is? Of the Lebanon. Now, what does that mean? It's a metaphor. Kain ha'isha mevareres b'muach machshava shalo. So the same thing in the muach of the machshava, which we could really use a definition for that a little bit better. He says shalom mayim nukvin, that she's doing the same thing, but it's a bira that's taking place on the female side. V'nimshachon el yisoda, and all of that bira process, and I'm thinking he means from the top to the bottom, winds up in her yisod. Ve'elohim shnei yudin shebetzuras ayud of the tzuras of the letter Aleph. What's the upper one mean? He says yud Allah and yud tata. Behim mayim adyanim, and they represent the upper mayim, which is mayim duchrin. 1 second. Mayim duchrin, and he says barosh yud, which is on the beginning of that letter yud. Barosh yud, and then also yud besod mayim duchurim and mayim nukvin, or yasher or choser. Besod Hashem Havaya, so Yud K Vav K, but then you also have the Havaya written backwards. So they go this different ways. In other words, she starts from the bottom, that's that Yud in the bottom of the Aleph, and she starts moving upwards, going that way, whereas the male goes straight from the Yud downwards. So let me just think for a second. Okay, I don't have an answer. I was going to try to think of my astrological chart and see which one of their opposites. So they're opposites, right? So Vayim is Aries, and what is the other one? The other one then would be Libra, which is the opposite of Aries, and perhaps Aries, and that's the time of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Well, anyway, just a guess, just throwing out some ideas. So the place, the light, and this may be insight into the letter Yud, which is an interesting letter, the Sod Adni, and it's also the same time, it says Olam Hu Yud. The Sod Adni, who this is the Hey Vav Hey Yud, which is the backwards where that's that Yud that's at the end. He says a Keser b'Malchus and Malchus b'Keser. Again, I'm not sure what he meant by that, with the Or Choser. He said, let's read again. He says, Keser into Malchus. That's going from up to the bottom. And then Malchus into Keser is going upwards. That's Or Choser. So let just get his words here. He says once again, Keser b'Malchus. That's the train track, goes from Keser down into Malchus. Malchus, though, also has another train track that goes upwards or inwards. Maybe that's a little bit better way to say it. Goes closer to Benemius into Keser or Choser. That's Or Choser. Gishal Keser kolo shnei yudim. So let's look at the Keser. The Keser has 2 yudim in it. Or Yasher or Choser, they're both there. And that's Or Choser. These ideas not that easy for me to grasp what the actual mechanics of the 2 of them existing in Keser at the same time. Where I'm thinking of Or Choser is that lower yud. But let's see how we can make some sense out of it. He says Or Yasher or Choser shall sod kaf kafufa, like a bent over kaf. Now, what does that mean? He said, or Yasher hu havaya etzem or etzilus shlim kasidron. So it's in its proper order, besidroi. The or choser, which is hey vav hey yud, the opposite way, hu or cholosh. It's a weaker light. The zecher she'amar, so which would be the malchus, anything coming from the, I guess he's talking about the yesod, but it's coming from down there. It's going to be weaker. The zecher she'amar kan, this is what it says of the kishus the ara. So with this crawling around in the land, the Lamayan Nukvin, creating mind looking low shlim, that's not the complete story, because it's in the wrong former. Hu Havaya Hafucha, it's a turned around, it's a backwards Havaya. Mora al Chalishos, which really tells you that it's coming from a weak place. This is a very interesting idea. This is that Malchus is weak. The Malchus, that is what Malchus is. Malchus is seeking the light. Of Eina Etzem Or, it's not the Etzem of the Or. See, what's getting me is he says that in Keser both of these 2 elements exist. So, but their movements are opposite. I'm always thinking that Keser is moving from the top to the bottom. And he's saying that the concept of moving from the bottom to the top is also contained in Keser. And I guess, we have information on that from Olam HaKudim. But nonetheless, they're existing at the same time, in the same place with different movements. So I'm trying to figure out what must be that somehow this whole, let's say, part of the tipa that's going to wind up going into the yesod of the nukva is going to have these 2 elements in it, the ability to be able, it's coming down, and all the ability to be able to come back. Ve'ena etzem or, it's not the etzem of the light. It's like the light of the sun strikes it, turns it upside down, or switches it around, and as a result of that, it's not complete. And we have a few notes on that. We'll get it next time. It's interesting. Well, too. Thank you, Rabbi.